Hello students of class 10, welcome to the biology class. Students, we have been studying the chapter control and coordination. By this time we have studied the control and coordination in plants and we have started the control and coordination in animals. We understood that in animals control and coordination is done by nervous system as well as endocrine system, and presently we are studying the human nervous system. Last class we studied about the classification of human nervous system and we studied the structure of the neuron. Today we are going to take up some new topics like synapse, reflex action. So let us see what are the objectives of today's class. So learning objectives. After this class you will be able to define what is a synapse. You will be able to name the types of synapse. You will be able to define reflex action. You will be able to name the components of reflex action. Okay, let us get started. So what is a synapse? Synapse is a junction between two nerve cells consisting of a minor gap across which impulses pass. So very simply, what is a synapse? Synapse is a junction between two neurons. Okay, and that gap or junction, that space is so less, it's very minute, and through that space the impulses can flow. Okay, sometimes this synapse is also between a neuron and a muscle cell. Okay, now in the image in front of you there is a neuromuscular junction. So in a neuromuscular junction, the junction or the synapse is between the axonal terminal or the nerve ending of a neuron and a muscle cell. Have you seen the muscle cell and the neuron? You identify the axonal terminal, okay, and see that there is a junction. That junction is called a synapse. And in this kind of synapse, what impulses flow? Chemical impulses flow. Okay, between neuron and muscle cell, chemical impulses flow. Let us take another kind of junction. This junction in the image is what? It's a neuron-neuron junction. This neuron-neuron junction is present between two neurons. The terminal, the axonal terminal of one neuron and the dendrite of another neuron. Okay. So this kind of neuron-neuron junctions can be both chemical and electrical. Sometimes if the neurons are placed very close to each other, the impulses flow in the form of electrical impulses. But if the neurons are located at a distance apart, then electrical impulses are not possible to convey or relay the impulse. So for them, what is possible? Chemical impulses are sent, and chemical impulses are seen between two neuron cells, because the space or the junction space is very large. Not very large, it is large comparatively. Okay. Next we will move into the topic reflex action. So what is a reflex action? Let us define. Reflex action is an involuntary and immediate movement in the response to a stimulus. So what kind of action it is? It is an involuntary and it is an immediate, very fast, and it is a response to what? Stimulus. What is a stimulus? We have understood what is a stimulus in the last class. Stimulus is a what? Change in the environment, and that change brings a kind of an action in us, and that action is not a slow action, it's a very fast action. Let us know some characteristics of this reflex action. This reflex action is very fast, okay, and it is not controlled by the brain. If the brain controls, brain will go for thinking, and thinking will make the reflex action slow. So who is controlling? Instead of brain, spinal cord is controlling. There are a large number of examples of reflex action. Like when we touch a hot object, we remove our hand very fast. Some kind of objects may enter into our, particles may enter into our nose, throat. Then we either cough or we sneeze. So these kind of response are very immediate and involuntary, not in our control. We can stop it. Okay, involuntary. So these are certain examples of reflex action. So in front of you there is an image. Okay, see that image. One hand is touching a cactus and the hand is pricked. So what happens? As soon as the finger is pricked, the person removes the hand very fast. So this is an example of what? Reflex action. Okay, reflex action. So reflex action, we understood that it is very fast action and is controlled by the spinal cord, not by the what? The brain. Okay. Now, what is reflex arc then? Reflex arc. Reflex arc is a neural pathway that controls neural action. Okay. Reflex action. So we have studied reflex action. So there is a pathway through which the reflex action will work. That pathway is called as reflex arc. Okay, the pathway, how the impulse will go to the spinal cord, how the impulse will come back from the spinal cord, that pathway, that road, okay, that route, that is called as reflex arc. Now let us see what are the components of the reflex arc. Receptors. First, the receptors will receive the change, the stimulus in the environment. Then receptors will send that stimulus or the impulse in the form of impulse, that stimulus in the form of impulse to what? The sensory neurons, which are also called as the efferent nerve fibers. From efferent nerve fibers, the impulse will go to the relay neuron, which is present in the spinal cord. Then from the relay neuron, that impulse will be sent to motor neurons. Okay, and motor neurons are also called as efferent nerve fibers. You have to understand the meaning of the word efferent. Efferent means coming. Impulse is coming, and efferent means going from the spinal cord. And from the motor neuron or efferent nerve fiber, the impulse will go to what? Effector muscle, the muscle who will do the function, like the hand or the leg that will be doing the reflex action. Okay, so we have understood what is we are able to now define as a reflex arc. Reflex arc is a neural pathway of reflex action. And what are the components? Okay, so I hope you have understood that today's topic. What we have learned today, we have learned about the synapse and its types, and then we also learned about reflex action and the pathway of the reflex action, which is called as reflex arc. Thank you for the class.